This is Dumbed Down Life number 129.
I hear pod
Good evening, Lance.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Not too bad. Now, we did try very hard not to talk to each other all week, didn't we?
Yeah, I can't say we were entirely successful, but yes.
We did end up with some squee moments, I think they're called, and fanboy moments, and I think there is possibly some tech news that we didn't end up talking about. But for those of you who are not technically inclined, fast forward to the end of the show. That was Dumbed Down Life number 20.
Thanks for listening.
Right, so rather than going on to our own experiences, I thought we'd start with talking about, did you watch any of the Apple presentation yesterday?
No.
Do you know anything about the Apple presentation yesterday?
Yes.
I would have been very surprised if you didn't.
Yeah, I know there's 2 or 3 new flavors of iPhone.
Yep.
And a watch.
And a watch. Or as a lot of the tech blogs have been saying, they go on and on about the watch. Oh, and by the way, they released a bigger iPhone.
Yeah.
It was I didn't end up. I was intending to watch the whole presentation, but then changed my mind in a moment of sanity. But from what I've done from the reviews and everything, there doesn't seem to be much with regards to the new iPhone in the way of new functionality other than this touchless payment system.
Yeah, so they've caught up with other phones and got NFC built into it, essentially, haven't they?
Well, the big thing here isn't necessarily the technology side of it, more the contract side of it. They've managed to get some very good contracts with some very big American banks.
Right.
Typically, adding yourself as an agent between the bank and a vendor means that you end up having to charge the vendor a higher rate, and the cuts all end up being not particularly favourable. This is one of the reasons why contactless hasn't taken off, is that
you need to charge for you providing that service.
And the vendor says, you know what, we get charged less by going straight to the bank, so we won't bother. Now, what Apple have done is they've been able to go to the banks and say, right, well, this phone is actually more secure than if somebody gets hold of your card. Therefore, we want lower rates.
That's a brave statement to be making, considering their recent iCloud situation, isn't it?
Now, the thing is, and I've said this before and I'll say it over and over again, the technology is very secure. However, it's how you use that technology is the issue.
I mean, Apple have claimed that it's not their technology that was hacked, it was passwords were guessed.
Yep.
But how do you guess Jennifer Lawrence's password?
You read Jennifer Lawrence's biography, you scour her Facebook, if you particularly want a particular person, then you research that person. You then go to that account system and you say, I've forgotten my password, and it says, what was the name of your first dog? And you say Fifi, because that was in her first autobiography, and bang, you're in.
Well, see, I dispute that, because most of them now, you answer 3 or 4 questions or something along those lines, and then they send a password reset to your email address.
But they've also got, see, you've got a problem whereby I forgot my email. So you go back to the email address, and it's that they break into.
Now that's, I can see that once you've got somebody's email address, they are buggered.
Yes,
because
then the notifications go back
to your email address. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you've got the facility to say, if my password gets changed, then please ratify that by sending me a text message. But it's an option.
that I guess not many people take up.
And,
because I'm guessing Jennifer Lawrence doesn't want to give some website her phone number because of an invasion of privacy.
Yeah. So that kind of thing happens. Or there's the social engineering where they phone up Jennifer, her agent, saying, "Oh, this is Apple. We're very sorry that her account's been broken into. We're looking into the security issues. If you just give us her details, we'll sort everything out for you."
Yeah, can you just confirm this account is actually Jennifer Lawrence, and we'll look into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can see that.
And it really depends on who ends up on the other end of the phone as to whether they say, "Hang on, if you're Apple, why do you need their password?" Or if they simply go,
"Oh, better do that.
So glad you phoned us. Here's her login details and her password."
Yeah.
And so the technology is there to be secure, but the social engineering side of it, whether it's looking up details on the internet or whether it's speaking to somebody near her, are the weak point. I mean, this is why it's quite common these days if you're all sitting around watching TV and you want some pizza, and so you send somebody with your bank card to the pizza place. You just tell them your PIN number, and it's a close friend, so why not?
The funny thing there is, I'm quite amazed you brought that up because I did that exact thing today at work.
See, I never would.
No. That's being addicted to cigarettes for you, because I'd run out of cigarettes, really needed some, and I just hadn't got time to go downtown. So I gave one of my work colleagues my card, gave her my PIN number, and she went and bought me some fags.
Yeah.
Haven't checked my balance to see if all my money's still in there.
Well, I'm sure that you've possibly not got as much money as Jennifer Lawrence to have to worry about whether she's cleared your account out or not.
Well, yeah, she's not going to get much if she did.
Hi, this is Scott Sigler, author of the novels Infected and Contagious, and you are listening to Dumb Down Life.
But anyway, back to watches, because I'm guessing that's really what we want to talk about.
Have you had a look at the Apple Watch?
Not a look as such, no. I've read a little bit about it on various news sites, but I haven't really looked that much into it because, in all honesty, I'm not that interested. I am, in as much as it's a watch and it's kind of my thing at the moment. I like my watch. But because it's Apple and I've moved away from Apple, I've not really been bothered to see what's so great about it.
I think that the news here is that they are playing catch up.
Well, that's kind of my thoughts. So that's why I haven't sort of really bothered much about it.
It's interesting that whereas they have in the past had the marketing and the strength to be able to take things that weren't, the iPad wasn't their idea.
No. Well, I mean, I was talking to a guy at work about this, and he says, everybody's a bit underwhelmed, and Apple, they're always sort of, people expected them to come out with something new because that's what Apple does. And I said, well, not really, no.
They generally polish something that's been out there for a while.
Exactly. I had MP3 players before the iPod came out, but the interface was crappy. Getting music on it was a bit rubbish. Finding music, playlists, all of that, none of that was there. It was just a USB hard drive with a headphone socket on it.
Yeah.
And then Apple came out with the iPod, and it's like, oh, you can do it that way.
And then I think iTunes was the big seller of the iPod as well, wasn't
absolutely, it? Yeah. The whole linking it into a market where you can buy loads of music, put it on, sync it on, it was all seamless, great, and that's why it took off. The iPad, not the first tablet to come out.
Yep.
But because they developed the iPod into the iPod Touch and then developed the iOS and sort of got this system up and running already. When the iPad came out, I remember when it came out, people said, oh, it's just an overgrown iPod Touch. Why would you want one of them? And there were lots of jokes about the iPad and sort of the sanitary towel links and all of that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And now everybody's buying a tablet.
Yep.
Because, again, Apple kind of got it right.
They got it right, but then other than making the system higher capacity, better and more stable, it's kind of stagnated.
Yeah. I mean,
it stayed where it is, and people just buy it because perhaps it's got a bigger battery in it, perhaps it's a little bit lighter and thinner.
It's bigger, better, faster, more than the one before, but it doesn't really do anything that's sort of mind-blowing anymore. It's just a slight improvement on the one before.
Yep, and there's certainly comparable Android tablets out there that are half the price of an iPad.
Absolutely.
But with the watch, they don't seem to have taken the first generation of Android watches and given anyone a reason to say, instead of that, use this.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the whole pay thing, possibly. I mean, but that's on the phone rather than the watch, isn't it? Or can both be used?
I don't know. I think it is both.
And how many of the Android Wear, because I don't really know much about the new Android Wear watches either, but how many of those have the sort of the biometric stuff that is it called an iWatch or is it just the Apple Watch? I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah.
Right, the Apple Watch. It's got a barometer in it. It's got a heart rate monitor on it. How many of the current crop of smartwatches do have that?
Pass. However, this is something that I was debating, that in trying to make a watch that covers everything, you end up covering everything meagerly.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to wear an expensive watch as the Apple Watch is when playing sports.
What's its retail?
It's going to be over £200.
Right.
I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be over £200.
And how does that compare with like the Motorola 360 or whoever the 360 is?
I'm not sure.
Right.
Prices of stuff, I'm not sure. But
I just wonder, because traditionally Apple are sort of considerably more expensive.
I think they've realised that they're not going to sell a premium priced watch. So while it's more expensive than the majority of Android watches, it's not a ridiculous £300-400
not excessively so.
Yeah. Which again is a sort of a change for Apple. They've kind of admitted that they've not got a premium quality product.
Yeah.
So, but what I was going to say is that for your sports stuff, I would want to buy either a Garmin or a Nike or a brand that is sports related,
or even a Fitbit.
Yeah,
if you wanted to track to track what you've been doing while you're running around a field, then a Fitbit's the thing you want, really. Not a watch.
Yeah, I don't want a watch. I want a Nike device that pairs with a pedometer that clips to my
trainer,
shoe, because I don't need a watch to tell me how many times I've been shaking my wrist. No comments. I want something to count how many steps I've taken.
Yeah.
And I think even the Android watches that have got pedometers built into them, they're not particularly accurate.
No, I've got one on mine. It's a bit weird. I've got an app on mine that shows you the steps counted by the phone in your pocket.
See, that kind of works better.
Yeah, but again, still, if I was running around playing football, I wouldn't want to be doing it with my phone in my pocket.
No, absolutely not.
I'd have a pedometer.
Yeah. But then again, a pedometer for football is going to be a bit of a weird one.
It was a bad example, yes. But if I was going on a hike, say like when we go hill walking or something, wouldn't possibly necessarily want to do that with my phone in my pocket. I'd have my phone with me, but not necessarily in my pocket. It might be in my hiking bag.
But then you rely on GPS for doing a hiking thing rather than steps, perhaps.
Possibly, yeah.
All the information and all the technology is there, but I wouldn't necessarily want to wear an expensive watch as a sports device. I would want to wear a sports device when doing sports, and then perhaps the watch measuring heart rate and stuff as a secondary thing. But it's not necessarily the big seller for me.
No.
Definitely the big seller for me is being able to look at my watch to see notifications.
Absolutely, that's what they're there for.
Yeah. Now, I believe the only watches that were at the Apple thing when they were the presentation when they did the show were showing videos of what the watch would do. They weren't actually functioning watches.
Right.
So they showed you that on this 1-inch square screen, the twist wheel on the side has got like a zoom effect. So you've got a scrolling list of all your contacts, and then you twist the wheel and it zooms in.
Well, that to me seemed weird.
On a tiny screen, it's just not a good use of the screen.
No, I mean, it's got a pressure sensitive screen, hasn't it? So it can detect how hard you're tapping.
Yep.
And with the things like the iPod touches and the iPhones and that, and I think the Android ones do it as well. Why couldn't they have stuck to the pinch and spread thing instead of having this wheel on the side?
I think that even taking a step back from there, you don't want to have content that's so small on a 1-inch display that you're pinching and spreading to zoom it out. What you want, going back to the classic Apple interface, is that you swipe your finger from the top to the bottom, and it zooms, it's got momentum behind it, and it scrolls through your list, displaying your A, B, C, D, E, and then you touch the screen to stop it, and it highlights L for Lance, and then you can move gently up and down to go. You don't want pinch and zoom on a small thing, and you don't want a wheel thing. It's just that sort of thing would look nice on an iTable, but when the screen is so small in the first place, it just doesn't seem to work right. And to look right. So we had conversations last week about the phones and so forth, and not long after the show, you then placed an order for
a Motorola E, a Moto E.
Moto E,
yep.
Which I think you said to me today, and is a known thing that it's pure Android. There's no
stock Android install. There's no manufacturer Motorola tweaking customer at all.
Yeah,
no, none of it, and it's fantastic.
Yes,
it is brilliant.
I have to say that a lot of the complaints that people have about Android devices is not Android or are not Android.
It's when Samsung have added Samsung's front end to it and stuffed it up.
Exactly. It's when companies have added their own front ends to it, and those front ends you rely on a certain version of Android. Google carry on developing Android and making it better and making it smoother, and then Samsung is one of the classics for doing this. Their front end isn't compatible with the next version of Android, so they kind of use that as a method of getting you to buy their next phone.
Next phone, yeah. Yeah.
Which, to be fair, it's a tricky situation. They're making these phones that are...
It's in their interest to do it, isn't it?
Yeah. They're making these phones that are toughened glass, that are waterproof, that are shockproof. So why would you want to buy another phone? You want to buy another phone because it's got a new feature. Now, the hardware underneath it is generally quite capable of running the next version of operating system, and if you care to unlock your phone and get rid of all the Samsung stuff, then you can upgrade it. But it does cause a lot of people to sort of get a bit annoyed with the fact that they've paid a premium for these phones, whereas your phone and the Nexus 4 that I've bought, very cheap phones.
Well, you can actually buy my phone. I didn't. I paid a little bit more for it, but you can actually buy my phone for around £90.
As part of a contract.
No, if you went into a shop, I bought mine from an online catalogue, so I'm paying interest on it, and mine cost me £120.
Yeah.
But I have to say, it is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's not, as I've just said, it's not one of the most expensive Android phones you can buy. It's not a Nexus. It's not a Galaxy, whatever. It's a simple little thing, but it works, and it works really, really well. And the battery life is pretty damn good, actually.
Oh, that's good, because I know that a friend of mine has got the Moto G, which is like the next step up from yours.
Yeah.
And they use the phone quite heavily, and the battery life on that has been exceptional. With heavy use, the phone lasts for more than a day.
Yeah.
With light to regular use, it can last up to 2 days, which is quite unusual on a mobile phone.
Right. I unplugged my phone this morning from being on charge at 10 to 6. So 100% charge at 10 to 6. I then streamed Spotify all the way to work because I can. I've been using it on and off all day. I had a couple of phone calls. I've been looking at websites and getting notifications from you whenever we were chatting on Facebook. They were all popping up, posting on Facebook, tweeting, doing everything I normally do on a day. On the way home, I had Waze running because it's the first time I've run it. Just wanted to see how it works whilst streaming Spotify.
And that's normally a big
running two things at once,
especially GPS related.
GPS related as well. And it is currently sitting at 8:30 at night. It's currently sitting at 48% charge.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I'm quite impressed with that. The phone I had before just wouldn't have coped with that at all.
To be fair, the phone you had before was a very short-lived release. It was released, and then 6 months later they stopped making it because of exactly that problem.
Right, okay.
The processor that was with that phone was atrocious.
Yeah.
And killed batteries. But yeah, it's that Motorola seem to have got the battery consumption thing pretty good.
Yeah. I'm really impressed with it, I have to say.
So you got the new phone.
Yes.
And one of the things that you wanted the new phone for was the fact that I borrowed your Sony smartwatch, and over the past 2 weeks proven that the smartwatch likes working quite happily with newer phones.
Yeah.
And we discussed the idea that it was possibly the battery life of the older phone that was causing your Bluetooth woes.
Yes.
So you've now got your Motorola phone and your Sony smartwatch 2, and you found that there's new features or features that didn't work before? What's changed with regards to that?
Right. The watch is working now flawlessly.
Yeah.
It was literally all down to the power output of the phone. Once the power of the phone dropped, Bluetooth just had a fit and wouldn't work. And that's why the watch wasn't working. So I now have my smartwatch. It's connected to my phone. It's been connected for the last, what day is it? Wednesday, 3 days. And the only time it has dropped its connection is when I've walked out of range of my phone. And when I say walked out of range of my phone, I do mean way beyond 10 meters.
Yeah.
Whereas before the watch was dropping connections while it was in my pocket. The phone was in my pocket and the watch was on my wrist on that side of the pocket.
We were talking before about it. You were getting duplicate notifications.
Yeah, none of those. So I can assume that when it reconnected, it when it disconnected, it hadn't had time to verify it sent it. So when it reconnected, it sent it again.
Yeah.
Right. So that's working absolutely perfectly. Something else that wouldn't work when with the other phone, when I got a phone call, the watch is supposed to vibrate, tell me who's calling, and give me the option to decline the call. I can't actually answer the call using a watch. It's got no microphone. And I wouldn't want to look like Michael Knight anyway.
Yeah.
And that now works. When I think, was it you rang me yesterday or somebody rang me yesterday, and up it popped, and as it was, I took the call. The camera controller on the watch works, which it never did. What I didn't realise that does is it actually streams the image from the camera on the phone to the watch.
Yep.
Which I thought was really good. It's at sort of one frame every 3 or 4 seconds.
Which is enough.
It's enough to take a photo with.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm guessing the idea being you can put that somewhere and take a group photo with you in it.
Yep. Because does yours still give you a 2 or 3 seconds, or is it a push and it takes the picture straight away?
Haven't actually played with the camera very much, so I don't know, because I don't take an awful lot of photos, to be honest.
Selfie guy.
No, not really. But that's working absolutely flawlessly. All my notifications are coming through properly. The dialer works, so I can dial from the watch. I don't see me using a lot of these features much, but they're kind of cool because they're new and it's, oh, look, it can do that, which is nice. And I really, really like it now.
So how does the dialer work?
It comes up with a T9 screen on your watch, so you can type the name of the person and it fills in at the top, and then when you get the name you want, you double...
Sorry, backwards. Type the name you want.
It's a T9 screen, so like old text messaging. You tap one once and it's A, you tap it twice it's B, you tap it
right.
twice, yeah.
Okay, yep.
So you've got a grid of nine numbers and a zero below,
what T9 was, but yeah.
Sorry, like the old when you had physical buttons when you were text messaging, yeah.
Yep.
So you type your name out using the numbers, and it's smart enough to recognise whether you're typing a name or a number.
Yeah.
And then you double tap on the name and it sends a signal to the phone and it starts dialing. I can't see much of a use for that because you've still got to have your phone in your hand to take the call, unless you're doing something hands-free and you've got a Bluetooth headset.
Yep.
That I can see would be quite handy. But yeah, it's working absolutely perfectly. And sorry, Sony, for ever saying it wasn't any good.
Well, the thing is, you've got a Sony watch running a Sony operating system that connects to a Motorola watch that's running Android.
Yeah.
That is then running a Sony app. Yes?
Yes.
So, do you get all the phone notifications on the watch?
Yeah. Go through them. I'll tell you if I get them. I get all the ones I think I get.
If you've got... I'm trying to think of some applications.
Okay, I get text messages.
You get text messages.
I get phone calls.
Phone calls, Facebook, Twitter.
Google Calendar reminders.
Yep.
In fact, it flashed up an hour ago to remind me to come and sit at my desk and wait for you to sign in on Skype. I get...
Skype?
No, I haven't found
actually, your phone hasn't got Skype on it, has it? Because your phone hasn't got a front-facing camera. So,
correct.
Yep, okay.
But I do get Google Tasks. I use Tasks, and there's a task app that syncs with that, so it reminds you to do stuff.
Now that's
which is handy.
But taking a step back there, that you have a task app. Now that's a Sony app that loads into the Sony app.
No, it's a third-party one actually.
A third-party app that loads into the
Sony smartwatch software.
So, if you, for example, I'm just going to look at something like what's the Imager? What's the popular photo processing?
Instagram.
If you were an Instagram person and you wanted your Instagram notifications to appear on your watch, that will only work if you've got an Instagram plugin.
Correct.
For the Sony app.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the app that talks to the watch from the phone doesn't have an awful lot in it, and you sort of install apps that other people have written or ones that Sony themselves have written. I think it just acts as a bridge between a phone app and the watch.
So you got your new phone, or you placed your order through your new phone and messaged me saying, can you send me back my watch, please? Because I'm getting the new phone.
I did.
I've had this watch for 2 weeks. I've the same as yourself. I've been quite happy with its performance and liking the whole having the watch there, and amongst other things, being able to look down your wrist and tell the time. Quite a novel thing. And so I then had a look at the LG G Watch and decided that this was going to be my geeky technical purchase for the year. I ordered mine on Friday, spent the entire weekend without a watch, and the LG watch turned up on Monday.
Excellent.
Now, as much as I loved the smartwatch, the Sony, this is much better.
Is it?
Oh yes. It may still be the sort of first generation. It's not it's certainly comparable with the watches that have been released in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. So the Moto round watch and all those sort of things.
That looks nice, doesn't it?
I don't know. See, the majority of my watch wearing years have been digital. Therefore, they have been square.
You see, I've always liked a round watch.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of round watches.
My smart sort of dress watch, not smartwatch, but my smart watch, is a round watch. I just much prefer them.
But a round screen
looks odd.
Is a square screen with the corners cut off. Yes. So you're going to have apps that are designed specifically for a round screen, whereas you don't actually have the physical limitation of hands having to sweep around a round circle like you do with a physical watch. So the roundness, I'm not sure is as much of an appeal. But this LG G watch is running the same the same version of operating system as all these new watches are. So there's no change in functionality there. In fact, there's a lot of press release about an update that's being released today, which hopefully will come out when I charge the watch up. But as a straight vanilla out of the box, turn it on, you install the LG Watch app on the phone.
Yeah.
But you're now talking Nexus, which is an LG device branded as a Nexus, running Android, talking to an LG Watch running Android Wear.
I didn't realise Nexus was LG.
Yeah.
So you're sort of all under one manufacturer.
All under one manufacturer.
Ooh,
but
I bet that worked well.
More importantly than that, you're all under one operating system.
Yeah.
So any app that I have on my phone, when it puts a notification at the top of the phone, that comes up on my watch.
Excellent.
To the point where there are certain games that forever have been throwing up these notifications, there's a new level in this game available for you to download, and I've just never got around to turn the notifications off because you end up with just a whole spam of notifications, but you're just ignoring them.
Yeah.
But when they start coming through to your watch, it really is annoying. You don't particularly need to know that this new level for this game that you haven't played in months is now available.
So whereas I have to go and physically, deliberately turn things on, i.e. install an app to get it to do it, you're having to deliberately and consciously turn notifications off.
I can go into the LG Watch app and say, ignore notifications from this app. Because sometimes, especially these, quote, free games, they don't have a feature within the game to turn off notification.
Yeah.
Because that's how they're trying to woo you back into the game by saying, this driving game has now got this particular car, come and play it.
Your Smurfs are missing you, please come back to Smurfville.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they don't make it easy to turn those notifications off on the phone. whereas the interface for the watch says, okay, ignore anything from this.
Anything from
app.
Zynga.
Yeah. And the nice thing is that the level of use that the phone provides is entirely dependent on the app developer. So some apps are completely watch unaware, and so they simply send out a notification, and on your watch you can see that notification. You swipe across and the only option is to dismiss that notification. Fair enough.
Right.
Other applications are smart enough that it displays the notification on your phone. You swipe across and it says, do you want to reply to this notification? Do you want to read this notification in full? Do you want to forward this notification? And it gives you much more access because that's what the programmers have put into it. And this is without having to have a plug-in that goes in.
It's just sort of seamless, isn't it?
It's just seamless. So like this morning, I was late coming into work because I got trouble with traffic. I'm stuck in traffic, and you sent me a Facebook message, I think it was. And the Facebook app that you have on the phone, this controversial thing that's telling everybody all your secrets, when you've got the notification on the watch, I hit the screen, it displays the entire message that you've sent me, and then I was able to press reply, and there's no buttons, and you don't particularly want a keyboard on the phone, so when you hit reply, it opens up the microphone, and then it does voice to text, to which I am able to then reply to your message, and then it gives you a little countdown of 5 seconds to make sure that you can read the message and see that's what you said, and you can either cancel it within that 5 seconds, or if you just leave it, it then sends the message off.
Oh, nice. I like
Yes.
that. I like that a lot.
And the voice to text notification, I think, is a big seller for this watch.
That's going to be a game changer. Not a game changer. Sorry, no, that's probably a bit too overblown. But it makes it a damn sight more useful.
Yes.
Now, I've got a couple of thoughts on that. But shall we play some music and then come back to that in a minute?
But I'm gonna let you walk just wanting has left me with nothing. So I'm gonna let you come. So I'm gonna let you come to me. All of this searching hasn't been working. Still got these one-way heartbeats. Call me crazy, call me lazy, call me dumb for having faith to work out on its own. But I'm gonna let you come. I'm gonna let you come to me. I'm gonna let you come to me. I'm gonna let you come to me. I'm gonna let you come to me.
And that was Michael McEachern with One Way Heartbeats. So the voice thing, right?
Yes.
I like the idea of the voice being able to. I mean, it's really, really handy. I mean, I used to use Siri quite a lot when I had the iPhone.
Yeah.
And I've only just discovered, thanks to you today, how to do the Google Now text voice searching on the phone.
Yep.
But do you feel a bit of a prat?
Well,
Have you done it in public?
I haven't used the voice search before, or the voice activation stuff before now, because you end up unlocking the phone, then swiping, then pushing a button, and then saying "OK Google," which I've done it again. The watch has just listened to me.
So is the watch always on? It's always listening.
It's always listening.
Ah.
But yeah, this is where I'm getting to. With the phone, it's not particularly useful to go through all those steps to finally talk to it.
See, with the
now,
iPhone, iPhone, it was easier because you just held the home button down for 3 or 4 seconds and Siri just came up. So there wasn't the 3-4 step process to go through to get it to work.
However,
Right.
that was then considered to be a security issue, because if you then held down the button of somebody's iPhone and said, "Call my boss and tell him I'm not coming into work ever again because I think he's fat," then the phone would go, "Okay," and it would send the text message off.
Do you know,
without you having
that had never even entered my head as something you could do.
But they changed that, so you had to unlock the phone, or you had to agree that was a risk you're willing to take.
Yeah.
So they made it more secure, but by making it more secure, they made it less useful.
Yeah.
Now with the watch, I'm not going to leave my watch on the table while I go and get the drinks from the bar, as people do with the phones.
Yeah.
So it's not as critical that the watch is secure. It's secure by definition of it being on
your wrist. Yeah.
If somebody were at knife point to steal your watch from you, then once they get away from you, the watch is no longer paired to your phone, which has got all your information in it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of plastic on a watch band. It's not of any use with regards to the privacy side of stuff.
What's the range of the microphone? How far away from your watch does your mouth have to be and it still pick it up?
When I was using it this morning, I didn't take my hands off the wheel.
Right. So if I'm sitting next to you in the car,
yep,
and we've both got Android Wear watches, yep, and I say, "Okay, Google," do both of them wake up and do stuff?
Potentially so. I mean, the other thing is you don't have to have the always active on. You turn it off and you make it so you touch the screen first.
Can you alter the voice command that wakes it up?
Don't think so. Don't think so.
It never really occurred to me before, but that's kind of a bit of a flaw, isn't it? If they want it to take off and load, you and I hang around geeky people. Yeah. The chances of more than one of us having one of these watches is relatively high,
But the other thing is having the constantly listening thing on is a battery drain.
I'm sure it is.
So the majority of people are going to have that switched off by default.
I guess you've got it on at the moment because it's new and you're playing.
Because it's still new and I'm playing with it, yeah.
Yeah.
But at the moment, whenever the watch wakes up, then the first thing is it wakes up and it says, okay, I'm listening.
Right.
Now, waking up can either be turning the watch face at 45 degrees or it's touching the watch face.
Right.
And
okay.
both of those will then activate it and make it sit there and listening. But that's what's making it more useful for these voice controls, because I've not got a whole bunch of things that I have to do beforehand. This is, to give a Star Trek reference,
it's double tapping the communicator, isn't it?
This is touching the communicator, yeah.
Yeah, which is enough.
Which is enough, rather than having to unlock the phone to go into the speech app. That's all too much. I'm not likely to use and I'm covering the microphone this time, I'm not likely to use the OK Google moniker. I'm more likely to touch the watch and then it says, okay, I'm listening, which is what the OK Google bit does.
So you can double tap or just tap the screen.
For me, I can touch the screen, which then puts it into listening.
And then just say, have I got any appointments today?
Then say, so let's send a text to Lance. This is a live test. And
I'm not wearing my watch, by the way. It's on charge, but it'll come through on the phone.
So and then that is what's now going to go through.
As we both sit here waiting for my phone.
Hang on, it's asking me to. It's telling me you've got multiple numbers again. That's interesting, because I thought I got rid of those. It's the number ending in 6, isn't it?
Could be.
Not the one ending in 5?
Yeah, it's the one ending in 6, I think.
Yeah, so that's okay. Well, that got a bit confused because it came across those two devices, and while I'm speaking, but it's fine tuning stuff. I've done that earlier, and it was quite happy. I don't know why it asked for the 2 numbers that time. But yeah, the voice control part of it is really helpful. I'm liking that a lot, and having the notifications appear on your wrist so that you can tell the difference between a message that's from someone that you are interested in and it's worth taking the phone out of your pocket, or if it's just a Facebook post of somebody saying, will you come play Smurfs with me? Which you can just look at your watch and go straight away, don't care, swipe it out of the way, and it's gone. One of the things that I appreciated around the office is that I've got the corporate system allows you to run email on your phone.
Right.
So as I'm walking around the office doing tasks for people, I get notifications come to my phone that then appear on the watch, and I can just quickly look at the watch and know that while I'm down this end of the office, I'll also pop over and see this other person.
Right. Yeah.
And I can then clear that off purely using the watch. I can swipe that across, mark it as read, go help that person out, and then when I go back to my desk, that email has been deleted from Outlook because I've already dealt with it.
Right. So your watch, should you read a text, email, whatever, that sends a message to the phone to tell it that it's read it.
That was something that you had problems with on yours. Is that still?
No, it still doesn't do it. I've looked into it and it doesn't do it.
So as a notification comes up on my on my phone, that is echoed onto the watch. If I then get rid of the notification on the watch, it disappears from the phone.
Yeah, mine works the other way. If I read the email on the phone, it takes it off the watch, but it doesn't send anything from the watch to the phone.
Oh, that's interesting.
Did you send me the text? Because it hasn't come through.
No, I didn't. Say it threw up the question about which phone number do you want to send it to, and by the time I'd asked you, it had cleared the message away.
I'll stop holding my phone near the microphone to hear the ping when it comes in then.
Right.
You're listening to Dumbed Down Life.
So last week, you asked me another question.
I did.
You did, and I've managed to get an answer to that one.
Aha.
Right, so you asked me how much oxygen does an astronaut use in a day on the International Space Station?
Or words to that effect.
Words to that effect. The simple answer is 30 kilograms.
30 kilograms, blimey. Okay.
But it's a little more involved than that.
I was kind of expecting it in litres.
Litres. I can give you it in litres if you like. 30,000. Right. This is worked out by a person breathes 4 to 12 times a minute, and the average lung capacity, one breath, is about a half a litre.
Okay.
So 10 times, hang on, take 10 times 2 litres a minute. Yeah. So yeah, you're breathing 4 times a minute at half a litre a breath. That's 2 litres a minute. Yeah.
Yep.
It's essentially 20 litres a minute. Sorry, I'll start that again. A typical person breathes 4 to 12 times a minute, and a breath is worth half a litre. So take 10 breaths at 2 litres a minute is 20 litres a minute, which is 1,200 litres an hour, 30,000 litres a day, which may sound a lot, but 30,000 litres is just 30 kilograms.
Yeah.
And only a quarter of that is consumed, because although you're breathing in half a litre, you're actually breathing most of that out again.
Unused.
Huh. So you sort of the air that's in the air, the oxygen that's in the air, you breathe it out, then breathe it back in, and breathe it out and breathe it back in. So for what you actually use of your lung capacity, you could breathe that in 4 times.
Right.
So what an astronaut actually uses amounts to just a few kilograms a day.
Huh.
There you go.
That's very interesting. That's good, that one. Because the dangerous thing with breathing is not so much not getting the oxygen, it's getting the carbon dioxide out, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And so when they talk about these, this now makes more sense when they talk about air scrubbers.
Yeah.
Because you've breathed out oxygen, but it's also now contaminated with carbon dioxide, which they need to scrub out of the air.
Well, when I used to go diving, they talk about the breathing reflex.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And if you hold your breath, there becomes this urge to take a breath.
Yeah.
And it's not because you need more oxygen. It's actually your body desperately trying to get rid of the carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
It's not that you need more oxygen. If you didn't have the buildup of carbon dioxide, you could hold your breath for way longer than you can now.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're talking about scrubbers. That's how the rebreather scuba masks work. What they do is, because you've only got a finite amount of air in your tank,
Yeah.
The rebreathers, as you breathe out, scrubs out the carbon dioxide and puts the oxygen that you've breathed out because you haven't used it back into the system. So you do get 2 to 3 times more dive time using a rebreather than you would a normal one, because it's recirculating the oxygen you haven't used.
You're not blowing unused oxygen out.
Into the sea. Yeah, exactly. So do you have another question for me to find an answer to next week?
Oh, no, I'll let you off this week.
Oh.
Well, the only other thing that I was interested in was the fact that we've started to get some life on the old blog.
Yeah, I noticed that at lunchtime.
Over the years that we've been running the Dumb Down Life recording, we've had a blog to go alongside of it. Generally not much more than just show notes, but and sometimes excuses as to why we haven't posted anything. But very, very little feedback actually goes on there. We're not complaining. We're here for your entertainment. You don't have to reply, but it's nice when you do. And we got some response from Ken from Leicester.
It's no longer Ken from Dartford.
No longer
it's Ken from
Dartford.
Leicester.
Ken from Leicester. And also from the artist that we played last week on the show, and from a fellow podcaster who's very interested in all the Creative Commons music. And so there's going to be some changes to the website. We're going to try and do a little bit more to help promote some of these Creative Commons artists, and to give people the opportunity to vote for the music that they enjoy.
Yeah, the podcast we ought to name cross promote.
Yep.
The podcast is CC Hits, and it's run by a guy called John the Nice Guy. I've no idea. I've no idea what his proper surname is, but I only know him as John the Nice Guy, and he's a regular visitor to the Bugcasts chat room.
He is a very nice guy. I've actually met him.
Have you really? on the pod calls?
On one of the pod calls, I've met him. Yeah.
John heard us play Sam Brown last week. And got in contact with Sam and asked if his music was Creative Commons, and if so, could he put it forward for his CC Hits show. He then put a blog post and let us know that he does it. So yeah, it's cchits. I think it's cchits.net.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you go there, you can vote for any songs that you've heard on any podcast that's linked through to it, and then John does a daily, weekly and a monthly chart show. Well, I say John does.
It's all automated.
It's I can't remember what name he's given to it.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Can't remember either. It's not GLaDOS either. But yeah, it's a fully automated computerized presenter, which I think is really kind of novel.
Yeah, and it's I haven't listened to it for recently, but I used to listen to it quite a lot. Probably should, to try and get some more music for the show, to be honest. And that's it for this week. Thank you very much for listening. And if you've enjoyed the show, then please listen again. Dare I say next week?
Oh, I think you dare.
Then please listen again next week. Ta-ra!
Ta-ra!
You can call the Dumbed Down Life crew on 07092 274 759.
You can follow us on Twitter. Our account name is Dumbed Down Life.
The email address is ddl.podshow@gmail.com. The website address is www.dumbeddownlife.com.